Chapter 4, The Old House. Yate Group President Zhao Yalong completed the third evolution, entered fourth God's sanctuary, and became the 83rd human in history to enter fourth God's sanctuary. His lifespan has reached 500 years and he has gained the status of demigod. The prodigy from Rycote Galaxy, Lang, entered second God's sanctuary with 100 mutation geno points. His lifespan has reached 300 years and he has gained the status of evolver. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Hemingway, killed a demigod creature star of the ocean yesterday and was the first to accomplish this feat. According to authoritative experts, in 10 years someone will complete the fourth evolution for the first time and advance into fifth God's sanctuary. Han Sen had just teleported from the steel armor shelter and the news was playing on a virtual screen. Evolver, Surpasser and Demigod. With the Black Crystal, I will be able to do all that, and go even farther. Han Sen shook his fist, stepped away from the teleport station, and took the maglev train home. Before he went into the yard, Han Sen heard a harsh female voice. Luo Sulan, do you want to take the old house of the Hans? This house was our parents', and my two elder brothers and I each own a part. Now my eldest brother has passed. We won't bully you, since you are a widow, and will leave you his share. But if you want to take everything, we will never agree. That's right. The voice of a middle-aged man chimed in. The old house has always been the inheritance of our parents. All of us have rights to it, and you can't keep it for yourselves. Your family has lived here for more than 20 years, so you have already taken advantage of us in a big way. It is time to divide the inheritance. My brother has said it, a soft-pitched male voice continued. You lived in the old house for more than 20 years. We will not collect the rent, but this old house is our inheritance and has to be divided. A young woman's voice could be heard saying, we have an estimate from a lawyer, and this old house is now worth more than 3 million. We are 3 households, so we should get 1 million each. You can either give each of us 1 million and own this old house outright, or sell the house, and then we all split the money. We are okay with either option you choose. Exactly, now that our eldest brother is gone, we won't bully his widow and kids. You can give us money or sell the house, as you like, the harsh first voice began again. Brother and sister, there is no need to force me. You know our situation. We don't have 2 million, a woman said sadly. Then put the house up for sale, the harsh woman immediately said. Where would we live without a house? Han Sen just graduated and Han Yen is about to go to school, the sad woman said. Sister-in-law, this is not reasonable. How are you the only one with troubles? Your kids Han Sen and Han Yen are only enrolled in integrated compulsory education, while my Han Hao goes to a private school. His tuition gives me gray hair every year. Sister, you are right. We are all having a hard time and everyone needs money. Why don't we just sell the house? We could all take some, and you could afford Han Yan's education, said the effeminate voice. Anyway, you either give us money or sell the house. Your choice, the young woman said coldly. Outside the house, Han Sen became furious as he listened. He pushed the door open and saw his mother shedding tears while holding his sister, Han Yen. The 5-year-old girl curled up in the arms of her mother, her big eyes full of fear. Next to them, 2 men and 2 women were all smiling indifferently. How dare you come here and ask for the old house? Han Sen pointed to the fierce-looking fat woman and exclaimed in anger. Aunt, you used to be an accountant in the company and brought about tens of millions in bad debts. Did my dad not help you after you begged him? Han Sen, what nonsense! Who caused bad debts? Stop lying, the skinny guy with the effeminate voice cried, pointing to Han Sen. Uncle, you embezzled the company's public funds to invest and lost a few million. Han Sen pointed to the skinny guy. Did you not come to my home and get on your knees to beg my dad for help? And you, uncle, You owed so many gambling debts that you were almost forced to commit suicide. Who helped you? When you were almost beaten to death, who saved your life? Han Sen pointed to the fat, middle-aged man. Starry Group wanted to acquire our family business. If my dad didn't represent all of you and then had a falling out with Starry Group, would he have died in such a shady way? Han Sen clenched his teeth, looking at the four. But you skipped my dad's funeral and sold the company to Starry Group upon his death. Did you give us any of the money you got from selling the company? Also, who paid for your houses when you got married? Were those houses any cheaper than this old house? Did you take care of your parents for a single day when they were alive? How dare you come here to ask for a share of the old house? Stop it. Your father only did what he wanted to do. The company belonged to my father, and we all have shares. He can't decide for us. And surely, we can spend the money of the company, Uncle Han Lei said brazenly. That's true. Your father was a dictator, and we are only getting our own money back. It does not matter what you say. Give the money or sell the house, otherwise we'll see you in court. You will lose the case wherever we go, Aunt Han Yume shouted. It's all your dad's fault. They started to accuse Han Sen's late father. Han Sen was shaking with anger and felt wronged for his father. When his father took over the company, it was only a small business, worth 1 or 2 million. He spent so much effort for the company to bloom and had to look after his family and make up for their mistakes. A few times the company was on the brink of bankruptcy due to liquidity problems. And he even died for the company. After his death, however, his wife and children were bullied by the relatives that he used to help. When Han Sen's father was alive, he always said that they were family and there's no need to argue. And what an irony it has become now. If they truly needed the money and had difficulties, Han Sen would just agree to give it. But all the private aircrafts they piloted here were worth more than $1 million. And they at least got 10 million from selling the company, which all fell into their pockets, and nothing was given to Han Sen's family. It was simply impossible that they didn't even have $1 million. Chapter 5, Swift Mantis. After making a fuss at Han Sen's home, Han Yume and Han Lei gave his family an ultimatum. They had to come up with the money or sell the house in 1 month, otherwise they would file a lawsuit. I'm so useless that I can't even keep the house. Luo Sulan held Han Yen, her face covered with tears. Luo Sulan was a gentle lady. When Han Sen's father was still alive, she was treated like a princess. She didn't even know how to sweep the floor, let alone do other chores. Han Sen knew how difficult it was for her to raise his sister and him after his father passed away. Don't worry, Mom. I am here even though Dad isn't. I will not let them take away our house. You take a rest and I'll consult Uncle Zhang on the matter. Han Sen called a friend of his father's, Mr. Zhang. He was the lawyer who used to work in their family business as legal counsel. Hi, Uncle Zhang. This is Sen. Is your back any better? I have a legal matter that I want to ask you about, so. Han Sen looked a little pale when he hung up. He had confirmed that his relative told the truth. They do have rights to a part of the house. And if they really did go to court, the verdict would be close to what they've asked for, to either pay them money or sell the house. Sen, what did Mr. Zhang say? Luo Sulan asked Han Sen, looking at him nervously. Don't you worry, Mom. I have checked with Uncle Zhang and there is a solution. You just make sure Yen is okay, and I'll take care of this. The house will not be taken away by anyone, Han Sen said with a smile. That's good, that's great. Luo Sulan breathed a sigh of relief. Having rested at home for a night, Han Sen took a train to the teleport station and entered God's sanctuary in the morning. Han Sen was teleported to his room at the steel armor shelter. When one was teleported into God's sanctuary, one would appear in a certain room only accessible to him or her. Unless permitted by the owner, others were not able to enter the room. Before finishing the first evolution and entering second God's sanctuary, this was Han Sen's home in God's sanctuary. Now Han Sen had no power or influence. The only solution was to come up with $2 million in a month if he wanted to keep the house. Although he felt it was unfair, without power, there was nothing left to do. $2 million levo dollars was an enormous amount for a young man who just finished integrated compulsory education. In the past, Han Sen couldn't have earned $2 million in a year, let alone in a month. But now everything was different. In fact, if he had not already cooked the shell of the sacred blood black beetle, the shell alone would be worth $1 or $2 million. Even without the shell, he still had the black crystal that could make creatures evolve. As long as he had that, $2 million was nothing. Looking at the body of the primitive green-scaled beast on the ground, Han Sen hesitated for a moment before cutting the body into pieces. He then dried the meat, made it into beef jerky and carried it with him in his waist pack. He must first catch a creature before he could use the crystal to make it evolve and trade the flesh of the evolved creature for money. Now that Han Sen owned a suit of sacred blood beast soul armor, he could up his game and start to hunt primitive creatures instead of ordinary creatures. Primitive creatures weren't worth much, and he would waste a day's time waiting for an ordinary creature to evolve into a primitive one. To come up with $2 million, Han Sen would need to sell at least a mutant creature. Primitive creatures were usually seen a dozen kilometers from steel armor shelter. Han Sen had not dared to go that far before, but now he has had his armor. This time, his goal was no longer a copper-toothed beast, the weakest among all primitive creatures, but the swift mantis often spotted in Zephyr Valley. Although a primitive creature, a swift mantis had a fragile body and could easily be killed by a normal alloy dagger if stabbed in a vulnerable spot. However, a swift mantis was so fast that ordinary people couldn't keep up with it. And its pair of hacksaw-like forelegs could easily split human bones. Once hit by the forelegs, a person would be crippled, if not killed. So few humans would go to hunt this creature. For Han Sen, however, the swift mantis was the best option. It was in the end only a primitive creature, and there was no way it could cut open his sacred blood beast soul armor. If he couldn't be hurt by the mantis, surely he could kill it. The most important thing was that with claws and wings cut off, a swift mantis could no longer fight back but could still live. This way, Han Sen could easily take it back, keep it in his room, and use the black crystal to make it evolve into a mutant creature before he sold its flesh. Of course, if he were able to kill a few swift mantises and got lucky, he might even gain a beast soul. The beast soul of a swift mantis was in the shape of a swift jagged blade, which was a long dagger, a type of weapon Han Sen had mastered. Although the swift jagged blade was only a primitive beast soul weapon, it was the sharpest of all primitive weapons, and could even compare to some mutant beast soul weapons. Because of the danger of hunting swift mantises, few would go to Zephyr Valley, and even fewer had obtained a swift jagged blade. If the rare weapon were to be sold, it would cost more than $2 million. So, if Han Sen could score a beast soul of a swift mantis, there would be no need to sell mutant creature flesh anymore. The closer Han Sen got to Zephyr Valley, the fewer people he could see. Around the valley, there was no human activity at all. Han Sen did not dare to go too deep, so he found a hidden place and summoned the sacred blood black beetle beast soul to cover himself in the golden armor. Taking a deep breath, he sneaked towards Zephyr Valley. Han Sen did not dare to go too fast. The valley was covered with trees and wild grass as tall as a man. As the trees and grass swung with the wind, it was difficult to spot any swift mantis that might be hiding there. Even momentary carelessness could lead to broken bones from a mantis attack. Chapter 6: Armor is Everything. Suddenly, Han Sen saw something green, about a foot long, sticking to the grass like a leaf. If he didn't look closely, he would have thought it was part of the grass and would have never imagined it to be a swift mantis that could split a human skull with a single blow. Its pair of sickle-like, jagged forelegs were even longer than its body. Dark green in color, the forelegs were covered in a metal sheen, and were nothing like its fragile body. The rigidity of the forelegs was definitely comparable to the most advanced alpha alloy. Han Sen was lucky that he found the swift mantis before it saw him. Moving towards it, he calculated the nearest he could get to it before being noticed by the swift mantis. When he was about 6 feet away from the swift mantis, Han Sen did not dare to go any farther, fearing he might lose the opportunity to attack by stealth. Tightly holding the dagger in his hand, Han Sen rushed out from the grass and cut at the swift mantis' waist in a fast and ruthless strike. But Han Sen had still underestimated the speed and responsiveness of the swift mantis. It had noticed his presence the moment he rushed out. All of a sudden, it rose into the air, gliding with wings spread towards Han Sen in a truly swift move. Its forelegs had cut him in the head before he could even react. Han Sen subconsciously stepped back in shock, yet the mantis' forelegs still hit his head. With a sound of metal clashing, Han Sen felt only slight discomfort, as if his head were hit by a stone. And there was not even a scratch on the sacred blood beast's soul armor. Filled with ecstasy, Han Sen seized the opportunity to cut into the slim waist of the swift mantis in front of him with a fierce stab. The swift mantis was cut into 2 halves, green mantis blood splashing him wet all over. Han Sen didn't care at all and listened to the strange voice in his head blissfully. Primitive creature swift mantis killed. No beast soul gained. Eat the swift mantis to gain 0 to 10 primitive geno points randomly. Touching his helmet where the swift mantis cut to feel it was still smooth, Han Sen thought to himself in excitement, "Haha, the armor is everything. With my armor, I could kill whatever I want to kill and no one could ever hurt me. I wouldn't even fear mutant creatures." Han Sen suddenly gained courage and stopped hiding. He marched to Zephyr Valley and alerted several swift mantises to attack, but they couldn't hurt him at all by cutting his armor. Han Sen took the opportunity to kill them all, each with 1 stab. Primitive creature swift mantis killed. No beast soul gained. Eat the swift mantis to gain 0 to 10 points randomly. Primitive creature swift mantis killed. The voice continuously sounded in his mind, adding to his thrill. He stabbed his way through the valley and killed more 20 mantises in succession. Su Xiaoqiao was on his way to Zephyr Valley as well, quietly mulling over his own bad luck. His parents were the owners of an interstellar conglomerate and were considered both distinguished and aristocrats. He, however, was randomly assigned to Steel Armor Shelter, where he had no friends or even acquaintances. To get an aristocratic title, Su Xiaoqiao could only choose to follow Qin Xian in order to max out on mutant geno points and become an evolver. There were 2 types of titles in Levo Interstellar Alliance. One was distinguished. Once one became a surpasser, one could be certified as distinguished. The other was an aristocratic. If one could evolve with 100 mutant or more advanced geno points, one could be certified as an aristocrat. Either title involved a lot of benefits in the alliance, and most importantly they were a symbol of social status. Today in the alliance, people were more and more snobby. People from the upper class wouldn't even talk to someone without a title, even when doing business. Advanced titles like Sacred Blood Aristocrat were beyond Su Xiaoqiao's dreams. All he wanted was to gain the title of Ordinary Aristocrat by maxing out on mutant geno points and completing an evolution. However, to get 100 mutant geno points was still too difficult for him on his own. He did bring a lot of money to Steel Armor Shelter, but money could only buy ordinary and primitive creature flesh, as very few people would sell mutant creatures. Only people who aimed to max out on sacred geno points like Qin Xian would sometimes sell the mutant creature flesh they had. However, it wasn't money that she wanted, but loyalty and service. Su Xiaoqiao was now running errands for Qin Xian, exploring the places less known to people and looking for traces of sacred blood and mutant creatures to gather information for her. With the information, she could then gather a team to hunt down these creatures, and the team members would get mutant creature flesh in return. Su Xiaoqiao had been exploring for a month and found no traces of mutant creatures, not to mention sacred blood ones. Running out of supplies, he had to return to Steel Armor Shelter. When he passed Zephyr Valley, he thought there might be mutant creatures around, as the area was so sparsely populated. After he sneaked in the valley, he felt something strange. He didn't see any swift mantises, not even one. A mile into the valley, all he saw were some messy traces on the ground. Someone must have wiped out the swift mantises. Fist Guy or Son of Heaven? No. Although there are signs of fighting, there should be more damage if it were a group of people. Surprised, Su Xiaoqiao sped into the valley, wondering what had happened. As he expected, there were many green blood stains from swift mantises along the way. He followed the blood stains and turned a corner. What he saw stopped him in his tracks, appalled. Next to the piled bodies of swift mantises stood a golden figure. In the sun, the figure looked like a robot in gold cast armor. Chapter 7, $. Brother, you killed all these swift mantises? Su Xiaoqiao saw no one except for the guy in golden armor. The dead mantises were still bleeding, so they couldn't have been dead for long. Su Xiaoqiao couldn't believe that someone was able to kill so many mantises in such a short amount of time. Although the swift mantis was only a primitive creature, considering the sharpness of its forelegs and its speed, even those who had maxed out on primitive geno points didn't dare to provoke it. After all, there were too many weak spots on human body, and no one wanted to risk losing his life or getting severely injured from a mantis cut. There were at least 36 dead swift mantises on the ground. Even Qin Xian would need some helping hands to achieve this. Su Xiaoqiao wouldn't believe that someone could have done it alone. Want some? 1,000 levo dollars each. Han Sen was just considering what to do with the mantises. He was on a killing spree and forgot the fact that there was no way he could eat so much mantis meat. And even if he could eat them all, only the first few could gain him geno points. 1,000 each? Are you sure? Su Xiaoqiao looked at him, surprised. Although many people were able to hunt primitive creatures, they were in short supply, especially the ones that most people had never eaten, like swift mantis. After all, people's energy was limited, and there was a limit to how many geno points the meat from the same type of creature could offer. Only by eating the flesh of a variety of creatures could one keep collecting geno points. Those who were relatively well off would all be willing to pay for the creatures they hadn't eaten yet in order to be able to quickly max out on their primitive geno points. Therefore, the primitive creatures that were easy to kill could bring a few hundred each, while the ones that were difficult to hunt, such as the swift mantis, could sell for 2,000 or 3,000 each and still be in short supply. Su Xiaoqiao calculated and figured that he could double or triple the price if he could transport these mantis bodies back. Yes, 1,000 levo dollars each. Han Sen nodded. It wasn't that Han Sen did not know what the mantises were worth. Without a car or other tools, there was simply no way he could move all these bodies back on his own. And if he left now, the bodies might be stolen when he returned. Moreover, Han Sen did not want to waste his time and energy on this. He had more important things to do, and he could take some loss of the profits. As the wholesaler, he had to leave some profit to the retailer. Sure, I'll take them all. How many are there? Su Xiaoqiao was on board. The swift mantises could bring him more than money. Primitive creatures like the swift mantis that ordinary people couldn't easily access would make great gifts. No one could refuse such a nice offer, as long as they hadn't maxed out on primitive geno points. A total of 43. I'll give you a discount and charge only 40,000. Han Sen was just casually asking and did not expect this ordinary-looking guy to be so rich that he could buy them all. Su Xiaoqiao took out his wallet and pulled out 10 $10,000 notes. Brother, I'll give you 50,000 for these mantises. The other 50,000 is a down payment for whatever good stuff you may have in the future. I'll always give you a good price and would pay even higher for mutant creature flesh. 100,000 was a small amount for Su Xiaoqiao. It would even cost him as much to buy someone a fancy dinner. This person was so badass that he killed all these mantises on his own, so it was highly likely that he could hunt mutant creatures too. If it was possible to purchase mutant creature flesh from him, a few 100 million was nothing. Couldn't tell you were rich. Han Sen took the money and said bluntly, looking at Xiaoqiao slightly surprised. In all honesty, money is all I have. If you have mutant creature flesh to sell, do let me know. The price is definitely not a problem, Su Xiaoqiao boasted, afraid that he might lose this great opportunity. Great. What's your name and address? I will come and find you if I have something. Han Sen appreciated Xiaoqiao's generosity, and thought he might be an ideal buyer for the mutant creature he planned to produce using the black crystal. After all, the black crystal had to remain a secret. Selling the creature to one person was much better than selling it in the market in front of everyone. And he didn't even need to worry about the price since Xiaoqiao was incredibly rich. Brother, my name is Su Xiaoqiao, and that's my real name. My room number at Steel Armor Shelter is 1046. How about you? What's your name and where do you live? Su Xiaoqiao said. $. That's the only thing I care about. Prepare some money, and I'll go to room 1046 once I have something. Han Sen put the money into his pocket, waved goodbye to Xiaoqiao and left Zephyr Valley. Having been through his father's death, Han Sen did not want to have too many exchanges with others. He just wanted to take care of his mother and sister and do his own thing. Other people or things didn't really affect him. Brother, I'll wait for you. You must come. Remember, the price is definitely not a problem, Su Xiaoqiao shouted at the back of Han Sen while waving his hand. After Han Sen left, Su Xiaoqiao couldn't help but call out, "How could I get these back?" Su Xiaoqiao thought for a while and decided to carry some back in a bag and ask some friends to help him carry the rest. Fortunately, there were almost no humans in Ziahir Valley. When Su Xiaoqiao came back with friends, all the bodies were still there. Xiaoqiao, is it true that Dollar killed all these swift mantises? Su Xiaoqiao's friends looked wide-eyed at the pile of mantis bodies. Of course. Although I did not see him hunting, there was no one else in Zephyr Valley at the time and the mantises had just died. Who else could it be? Su Xiaoqiao said. I think it must be a gang of people that killed these swift mantises, and others must have left him to deal with the bodies. I don't believe one person could kill so many mantises. He must be bragging. He was definitely bragging. None of Su Xiaoqiao's friends believed Han Sen killed the swift mantises alone. Chapter 8, Primitive Beast Soul. Han Sen didn't go back to Steel Armor Shelter after leaving Zephyr Valley. In a flash, he killed every swift mantis in a frenzy so that there were none left. Well, I'll just go hunt a copper-toothed beast. There are plenty of them near Steel Armor Shelter and there is a high chance of catching a mutant copper-toothed beast, so it wouldn't seem too suspicious if I were to produce a mutant one using the crystal. Han Sen found a habitat of copper-toothed beasts and wanted to catch one that was alone. Only able to find a small group of copper-toothed beasts, Han Sen went ahead and killed all of them but one, taking advantage of his tough armor. Primitive creature copper-toothed beast killed. No beast soul gained. Eat the flesh of copper-toothed beast to gain 0 to 10 primitive geno points randomly. Primitive creature copper-toothed beast killed. Primitive beast soul of copper-toothed beast gained. Eat the flesh of copper-toothed beast to gain 0 to 10 primitive geno points randomly. Han Sen's eyes widened in surprise. The 43 swift mantises and thousands of ordinary creatures he had killed didn't render a single beast soul. Now he had killed only 2 copper-toothed beasts and gained a beast soul. To get a beast soul requires pure luck. Han Sen was filled with joy. Although it was common, the beast soul of a copper-toothed beast was quite nice to have. The copper-toothed beast was one of the weakest among all primitive creatures, but its beast soul was popular. Han Sen summoned the new beast soul, and a porcupine-like shadow with bronze fangs shifted into a bronze crescent spear in his hand. The crescent spear had a bronzy sheen and a menacing look with its crescent-shaped spearhead. Type of primitive beast soul of copper-toothed beast, weapon. Han Sen played with the spear for a while, looking quite fierce. He was taught basic spear skills at school. Han Sen was interested in all kinds of weapons, so he learned well. Han Sen put away his spear before he grabbed the living copper-toothed beast and went back. On his way back, he found a lonely spot to remove his armor. Looking like himself again, Han Sen went back to Steel Armor Shelter, carrying the knocked-out and tied-up copper-toothed beast on his shoulder. At the gate of the shelter, a gang of about a dozen people were marching out, all riding on different tall beast soul mounts, headed by a man wearing steel armor and carrying a blood-red sword on his back. The man was riding a triceratops-like beast soul mount, looking mighty and majestic, attracting envious glances from all around. In Steel Armor Shelter, there are 3 outstanding persons who aim to complete evolution by maxing out on sacred Geno points. This man, Son of Heaven, was one of them. Han Sen didn't know his real name and identity, but he was definitely a king in Steel Armor Shelter. Carrying the copper-toothed beast, Han Sen stepped aside to let the gang pass. However, Son of Heaven stopped his mount when passing by him. Crack! Son of Heaven looked at Han Sen and slashed him on the shoulder with a leather whip. The copper-toothed beast fell on the ground, and Han Sen's clothes were ripped apart. A wound started to swell on his shoulder and back. Who had the nerve to sell you this primitive creature? Son of Heaven asked in a cold tone, looking down at him condescendingly. In Steel Armor Shelter, everyone knew that Son of Heaven was wooing Qin Xian. Ass Freak who stabbed Qin Xian in the rear naturally became his enemy. He was also one of the reasons why Han Sen was miserable. When learning Qin Xian was stabbed, Son of Heaven not only had Han Sen beaten up but also let everyone know that whoever would dare to do business with Han would become his enemy for life. I hunted it myself. Han Sen stared back coldly, fist clenched but standing still. Not only had Son of Heaven gained a lot of Geno points, but he also had collected many beast souls. Since he had help from his gang, Han Sen wouldn't be able to touch the guy even with his best effort. Even with his sacred blood armor, he would be beaten to death before he approached Son of Heaven. God's sanctuary was different from the Alliance in that there was no law at all. Power was everything. Han Sen would only die in vain. Plus, Son of Heaven was said to be of prominent origin in the Alliance. Even if Han Sen were killed by him in the Alliance, Son of Heaven might not be subject to legal sanctions. Han Sen was not afraid of death. But if he died, what about his mother and sister? If I find out that someone dares to sell to you, I'll make sure you both die in pain. Son of Heaven looked around and rode away. Ass Freak, don't make trouble. Or else I don't mind teaching you another lesson. Luo Tianyang smirked at Han Sen before following the gang on a black wildebeest. Luo Tianyang, a henchman and old acquaintance in the alliance of Son of Heaven, was one of those whom he sent to beat Han Sen up. Han Sen watched the gang going away with fire burning in his eyes. He picked up the copper-toothed beast quietly and walked toward Steel Armor Shelter, with everyone watching him with derision. Stronger, I need to become stronger. With scorching anger in his chest, Han Sen knew he was far too weak to fight the gang on his own. The black crystal, however, was his biggest opportunity. Son of Heaven, just get rid of him for good, Luo Tianyang said coldly. Son of Heaven smiled and said, Qin Xian is a stubborn girl. She doesn't like people to intervene in her business. Since she did not kill Han Sen, she might be upset if I did. What an unwise woman, another henchman of Son of Heaven, Peerless Sword, said. It's her honor that you, bro, would chase her, while she just puts on airs. If it weren't for you, I would have killed her already. Don't put Qin Xian down. She is quite something in both God's sanctuary and the Alliance. If she becomes mine, it will be a huge advantage to me. Son of Heaven said grimly, end of discussion. We need to get to Sunset Slope before Fist Guy's gang. That sacred blood creature has to be ours.